from behind a 1-0 deficit. Rickey goes, the pitch taken, he's going to have it. He does. Rickey Henderson, no contest, steals third base, jerks the bag from its moorings, and holds it aloft, representing number 939. Rickey pounds it with his left fist, hands it to equipment manager Frank Sinchek, who gives him a big hug. There's Rickey's mom.
Again, talking about the game being forgotten.
And Lou Brock probably the happiest guy on the field right now. He can finally make his speech, pass over the record to Rickey, and go about his business.
Well, he's already out there. They've got a presentation table out there.
If you want to make me smile, let's just put a video up of my favorite player, Rickey Henderson, and my favorite broadcasters, Bill King, Lon Simmons, and the great Ray Fosse, all talking about Rickey Henderson becoming the all-time stolen base champion. Welcome to Crafting the Call. I'm Josh Suchon with the Albuquerque Istopes.
And I'm Jesse Goldberg-Strassler with the Lansing Lugnuts. Josh, how's a Rickey Henderson uniform? I don't wear XL, but I'm wearing XL. Matt DeVries with the Great Lakes Loons during last season suddenly gave this to me and my broadcast partner. He said, I don't know what to do with it. So I said, I'll take it. Let's go.
So he's got Rickey Henderson. I got my Billy Ball from the early 80s, my Rickey sign behind me. And if you haven't guessed, this week on Crafting the Call, what are we talking about, Jesse?
Oh, we're stealing hearts. We're stealing minds. We're talking about how to call a stolen base, which we began with Rickey. We're going to go through some other famous thieves and famous steals. And how did the great voices call this purloinery?
Ooh, I like that word a lot. Here's the thing about stolen bases, Jesse. They happen so quick. There's not a whole lot of things that you can say. Give us a quick breakdown of basically at its heart, how do you call a stolen base really quickly?
So I think about the runner at first. And you and I have talked about this before in terms of being ready. So Suchon takes his lead. The pitcher comes set. Runner goes. Pitches low. Throw down. And then you give the call. He is out at second. He's safe. And he slid in there hand first. And then you give, it's his 11th steal of the year. All of those different things. But can you fit in that the runner is going, the result of the pitch, and the result of the play? If you're doing it right, boy, you've got to have at least one eye on that runner. You've got to make sure that you finish it. And you cannot forget, and this is what is so hard for broadcasters, you cannot forget to give the results of the pitch.
You got about 3 to 5 seconds, right? We did an episode on Inside the Park home runs, and we said you've got about 15 seconds, maybe 17. With a stolen base, you got about a maximum of 5. So you better be efficient with what you have to say.
It's the catcher's pop time. It's the runner trying to get that good jump. And how is your jump as a broadcaster? And for us, I think it's best for us to jump into the past and begin with another of the all-time greats and the man who Rickey broke his record.
Yeah, exactly. That was Lou Brock. So let's go back to when Lou Brock became the single season all-time stolen base champion.
Brock on at first with nobody out. The fans want him to go. He wants to go. If he gets the chance, he will go. Takes his lead. He is back in time as the throw goes to first. He was going to when he looked like it anyway, Jack, because he had that stutter step when he went back into the base, and normally he does not do that. Sloan goes to the mound to talk to his pitcher, who spread his hands in desperation of this to say, what are we going to do? Might as well let him steal it and get it over with. He's leading by 4.
Hey, nobody wants to have a record set against them or off of them, Jack. They don't mind Brock getting it, but they sure don't want them to be responsible for it.
They're in a minority here tonight, I tell you. Brock takes the lead. Ruthven checks him. He is going. The pitch is a strike. The throw. He is there. He did it. 105 for Lou Brock.
And they give Lou Brock number 105. They're going to get in the base.
Larry Bower took his hand, the Philadelphia shortstop. Congratulated Lou Brock. About 50 ushers. So on the field, the Cardinals pour out of the dugout to shake hands with their teammates. Reggie Smith, Ted Simmons, Blake McBride, Ken Reese. All of the Cardinals out of the dugout, out of the bullpen. Mobbing Lou Brock, a fellow they dearly love on this Cardinal ball club. 105. I told you I'd cry, Mike. That's real. I want to tell you, it couldn't happen to a finer guy, a more perfect gentleman, team man, great player, Lou Brock. Photographers all over the field, and we're going to have a presentation here in just a bit after the players get off the field. Cool Papa Bell is here, and he'll make a presentation to Lou Brock of base number 105.
Ooh, I love that Cool Papa Bell was there. What do you think?
I love Jack Buck. And I'm using the word I specifically because Jack Buck called the game from a first-person point of view. He would use I. And when Jack is calling it, you never forget that you were right there with him. Let's start with the initial call of the pickoff because Jack is already priming himself. He is back to first base because the pitcher threw over. The fact that everything is leading to that he is, and we're hanging with to see is Brock going to break. And he still got in. The pitch is a strike, but he is going. The pitch is a strike. Throw down. I love Jack Buck on the call. And the fact that he inserts himself, that he's wearing his feelings. I told you I would cry. The way that he describes everything going on, the handshake with Larry Boa, I think this is phenomenal. What did you think?
Well, I just loved hearing the crowd clapping their hands in the background, right? That's sort of like the power of radio where you don't see this, but you can hear this. I loved that. When there's a conference and the pitcher's like, what do I do? And Jack's like, just let him go. He's going to steal it anyways.
How good is Mike saying, here's the perspective of him not wanting this to happen? And Jack going, he's in the minority. It's such a good back and forth.
That is a very good teaser for what we're going to have later about a team not wanting to be on the receiving end of breaking a record. But yeah, even the simplicity of he did it. 105 for Lou Brock, and later saying, I told you I'd cry. Humanizing. We can feel how much Lou Brock is revered, not just as a baseball player, but as a human with what we just heard.
I mean, the appreciation of that Jack can talk about what he is seeing visually. So he's painting that picture, while at the same time talking about what Lou means to the team, how loved he is. Let's stick with Lou for our next call.
Yeah, so that was the single season. Now let's go with Lou Brock, the all-time stolen base record.
Reisleben looks. He's going. The pitch is high. The throw is safe. He stole it. The throw got by the shortstop, and Brock has done it. They would have thrown him out, but the shortstop couldn't handle the bad throw. And this is it, folks. Brock has now stolen 893. All of his teammates out of the dugout, onto the field, and all of the reporters, newspaper people, photographers on the field, much reminiscent of the night he broke Maury Will's record.
I mean, when they're talking about people on the field, they're talking about people on the field.
I wish we could see the people on the field. This was not Jack's best call. He says the throw is safe.
He's safe. He interrupts himself.
Mm-hmm.
And here's why I think he did. You can hear with the way that he then catches up afterward. He thinks that he's about to be out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He sees the throw. He sees where Brock is, and he's gone, well, shoot. It's not going to happen. Oh, he's safe. He's going to say the throw is in time.
Yep.
Which is a lesson for broadcasters of just hold back. But we heard with the he is that Jack is doing something that we hear from Joe, which is giving yourself the words before the call actually starts. And that way the call completes the sentence. In this case, it sabotages him.
So I never want to get into saying the exact same thing as a broadcaster, especially when it comes to stolen bases. But what I have found, is that when I simply say, here's the throw, maybe I'll say the tag, and then I can say the call is, and that just gives me a few extra seconds of waiting so that I can see the umpire's, decision, because I don't want to be the person who's saying safer out and then be wrong. I want to wait on the umpire. Maybe he's waiting to see if the foot came off the bag, if the ball squirted out of a glove. If the throw's way offline, boom, we can jump in there and say it. But yeah, the throw is safe, right? Because that becomes you can see like his brain is going, the most important thing to say here is safe. He's the record holder. Yeah, I like this call for the single season more than the career. And, but I think there's just so much buildup for a stolen base, right? When we did the episode on home runs, you just never know when a home run's going to happen. But once someone gets on base, Jesse, there is this immediate focus on the base runner where the rest of the game kind of becomes irrelevant. That it's just all about this pitcher, catcher versus base stealer moment.
It would bug me as a kid whenever a runner would reach and then the TV shot, and I'm watching the game on TV, the TV shot switches to that third base camera looking over the pitcher's shoulder at the runner. And I like the center field shot. And they'd always have to quickly switch it back to the center field shot as the pitch was arriving into the plate. And it was never early enough for me. Okay, you can let me know when the runner's going. You can put picture in picture, whatever that is, but keep that center field shot up. Except in this case, when the runner means more than the pitch. Mm-hmm. And in fact, in each of the situations we've heard, that batter's not swinging.
Mm-hmm. Once we got into the 80s with some of the Rickey Henderson stolen bases, got it into a lot more split screens. The technology allowed for the split screens would be right down the middle of the frame. Televisions still weren't all that big. So yeah, you could do a split screen, but you have to remember the size of television screens back then were much different. So, the technology sort of helped enhance our view of things, which I then think can lead into our next clip, Jesse, because I think this next clip becomes very interesting as we start to get into the math of stolen bases.
The other 10 were pickoffs. It's almost impossible. Even if you get a pitcher with a quick move to the plate, a clean release, and a clean tag, it's almost impossible to catch range. Steve Borrow.
Hey!
Oh, it didn't come off.
Lanny Harris, first base umpire, had to give a quick look and came back standing up.
My hamstrings hurt just watching that.
That's so cool.
Well, the replay backed the umpire up that time. The foot did come off for an instant, but he got it back before Perez's tag. Pitch out.
Here we see the split screen.
Now the manager of the Oakland A's, used to be the first base coach and occupied the first base box with the stopwatch so he could time the runners and the pitcher's moves. When he was the first base coach for the Expos, he figured that it took Raines 11 strides and a slide to get to second base, and he did it in 3.2 seconds. He's off. Here's the throw, and he's got the steal. Boros also figured that a reasonably quick delivery to the plate by a pitcher took 1.4 seconds, and a quick release by the catcher took 2 seconds flat, so you figure it out. The mathematics are all in Raines' favor. Even if you do everything right and the throw is right on the money, you're not going to have much chance to get it.
Diaz sinks the ball to second base. Luckily, they prevented it from going to the outfield, where they held Raines to only second.
What a missed opportunity, Josh. That's a great chance for Bob, who's said 11 strides and then the slide. As he's taking off, for Bob to just say, count the strides.
I think this is an example of what makes Bob Costas so great on play-by-play and when he runs into trouble, because he has so much information. I don't know if he was the first person to really break down stolen bases the way that we just heard. Probably the first one on national TV. This is a Saturday game of the week, who really does break down the math on it. As much as I really love and appreciate Bob Costas' work, the entire body of work, word efficiency is not his best. And so he's giving us this information, and he is just so excited to give us this information and break down this information, the numbers, that if he pauses more, if he waits more, I get it. You just never know when he's going to take off. You never know when the inning is going to end. But he's in the middle of describing all of this, and now here's a stolen base, and now he just continues on with it. I just think that he could set it up a little bit more. He could be a little bit more patient with as he describes this. Overall, it's fascinating because this is 1983. This is way before we hear about pop times. He's telling us about Steve Boris, who most people don't know. He was basically like the first guy who like kind of bragged about using a computer to set his lineups and things like that. He came after Billy Martin with the A's and went from Billy Ball to Boris Ball or Boring Ball. But yes, I think that this is outstanding information that couldn't be delivered in a different way.
Because he's in the middle of delivering it. This is where the play-by-play broadcaster has to be aware of your words and integrate your words, your prep, with the call of the action. Mm-hmm. Because yes, this is cool. And also what's cool is what's happening out there in front of you right now. These can work together. Like you were talking about this because he is a stolen base threat. Here's what leads to a steal. Oh, look, he's stealing second. Use it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like watching a painter holding a palette where you've got cadmium blue, you've got all your different colors, and you're like, here's the history of each of these. And it's like, yes. Are you going to paint with that now?
And look, to be fair to Bob, there's a pickoff attempt, and that becomes a perfect time to try to get ahead of the story. And you just never know how long it's going to take before he's going to go, right? If the batter fouls off the next two pitches, it looks like, oh, the perfect timing for Costas. He sets us up. He gives us the numbers. There goes Raines. He's safe. And it looks like this perfect call. But because it's a pickoff attempt, and now we have to look to see, did he keep his foot on the bag? He's doing the splits. We're all hurting our groins and our hamstrings. And now we've got to get into these numbers. And now here quickly is the stolen base. It becomes too much in such a short amount of time. Again, we're nitpicking because that's what we do on Crafting the Call. We nitpick so that we can learn, so that we can be better, and we can understand and appreciate this stuff better.
Do you know what I did after watching this the first time? I went back, I slowed it down, and I counted how many strides it took for Rock Raines to get to second. I counted 12, and then the slide. You've got information. You've got to play. And so in the thick of things, you can call it, you can let it happen. He's safe. But I would argue that this provides such a great opportunity to a broadcaster. So all of your prep work that you've done before the game, that you've got written down in front of you, your conversation with Steve, your conversation with different people, that's where you show, are you able to apply it in the moment? Great. You now understand the Pythagorean theorem. Do you know how to use it?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Great. You now understand how to use the active tense or whatever it might be. You've been learning your Spanish. So apply. And this is a great example of a broadcaster with information. And now the time has come to apply that information directly to what we're seeing, which I would argue for Bob as the play-by-play person, that's where it becomes the color analyst's role to help you out. And that's where we've seen some really good color analysts over the years say, let me take the baton.
I would love to know if there was a conversation before the game between Costas, the producer, the director, and say, hey, when Raines gets on base, this is what I'm going to talk about. Camera operator, let's zoom in on Raines so that we can later count his steps. Let's make sure that we have a camera that is behind the first baseman or a camera that's in left field so that we can see it and we can slow it down and we can count these steps. And that's where teamwork on a television broadcast becomes so much more important than just, I've got this cool information that I'm going to use on radio. No, you really got to make everybody work together.
Let me throw this at you too, because I haven't seen this yet in baseball TV. Can you imagine if we had a clock up there for a catcher pop time? Mm-hmm. I've seen clocks for punter hang time. Mm-hmm. I see clocks for the Olympics all the time. But can you imagine there's a great stolen base threat at first base. And we know that the pop time needs to be a certain amount. And so runner takes off, catcher throws down, and we can see the pop time and we can say that pop time, it's below average. That's why the runner got the steal, or that was perfect. He stole it on the pitcher.
Be careful. You might be a director next year, Jesse.
Well, there's the Rock. Tim Raines has come through in the minor leagues. I've hosted him. He is a joy to talk with about the art of stealing a base. And one thing that I always remember him telling the runners, the young runners, is he would say, you are dancing with the pitcher. So you need a really good rhythm. You need to figure out his rhythm, and you dance together, and then that base is yours.
Ooh, I like that. All right. So that was Tim Raines in 1983. Now we're going to go a year previously. We're going to go back to Rickey Henderson. This is one of my all-time favorite games in baseball that has been kind of forgotten over the years. Let me set the stage. 1980 is Billy Martin's first year as A's manager with Billy Bull. That is Rickey Henderson's first full season in the major leagues. He steals exactly 100 bases. 1981, the A's are the toast of baseball. Billy Martin is on the cover of Time magazine. The amazing A's and their 5 aces are on the cover of Sports Illustrated. All of these complete game victories for the A's starters in 80 and 81. They go to the playoffs in 81. They defeat the Royals in the first round. They lose to the Yankees in the American League Championship Series. Of course, that was the strike year. First half, second half. Rickey should have won MVP. He got robbed. Raleigh Fingers won it. That's a different topic. Now it's 1982. The A's are terrible. All of these pitchers who threw all of these complete games, not shockingly, they're all injured. The A's are terrible. The only thing worth watching in 1982 is Rickey Henderson. And before the season, Rickey Henderson and Billy Martin decide Rickey is going to break the single season stolen base record. And as the season goes along, it's all about, will Rickey break it? And then it becomes, will Rickey break the record at home? Rickey's from Oakland. He went to Oakland Tech. The attendance is going up. Instead of getting 10,000 at a game, they're getting 17,000 at a game. Rickey and Billy and everyone, all of the A's bean counters, they all want Rickey to break the record at home.
Wait, hold on. Was the attendance going up at Oakland Tech, or was everyone leaving school to go watch Rickey?
Maybe both. Maybe both. So now it is Tuesday, September 24th, 1982. It is a day game at Oakland. It is the final home game for the A's before they go off on an extremely long road trip. And this is Rickey Henderson's last chance to break the record at home. He needs 3 stolen bases to tie the record. He needs 4 stolen bases to break the record. And in the first inning, he gets on base, he walks, he steals second, and he steals third. So now he is 1 stolen base away from tying the record. His next couple times at bat, he does not get on base. So now we go to the 8th inning, and it is the last chance for Rickey Henderson to break this single season stolen base record at the Oakland Coliseum.
Huge on the mound right at the face. Fred Stanley, who'll lead off the Oakland 8th inning. Fred has gone 0 for 2. Then Rickey Henderson and Wayne Gross will follow. Billy Martin has his bullpen busy. The left-hander Tom Underwood and the right-hander Brian Kingman throwing down there. 3 runs in the opening inning for Oakland. They scored on 3 walks. All 3 men who drew a base on balls came in to score. And that's the story of the game. The pitch to Stanley is a ball low. Henderson picked up 2 steals in that first inning. Now has 117, 1 short of the all-time mark. Huge, ready to go to work. The pitch to Stanley is a wide one. Ball 2, 2-0 on Fred. 17,098 paying to see this one. 17,098. That's the paid admission at the Coliseum this afternoon. Bright and sunny. Here's a wide one. Ball 3 to Stanley. Well, the crowd doesn't like this. They know that Henderson's coming up next. They don't want any impediment on the bases in front of him. Here's the wind-up by Uger, and Stanley takes the ball. Oh, he walked in.
Okay, so I'm going to pause it here for a moment to make sure that we can kind of set the stage a little bit more. This is Ernie Harwell. This is Paul Carey. And we can hear from the crowd that they are booing. And they're booing because Fred Stanley is now going to be in the path of Rickey Henderson. But they're also booing because they think, the A's would say this after the game, they think that the Tigers were semi-intentionally walking Fred Stanley because they did not want Rickey Henderson to break the record against them. So you can start to hear the crowd getting restless, and now Rickey Henderson comes to the plate.
The fact that this is the Tigers broadcast team, so they're
Yes.
in on the joke. Paul Carey with that beautiful baritone laugh, enjoying himself in the background.
I wish we could have the A's radio call of this, Bill King and Lon Simmons. I've yet to be able to find it. If I ever do find it, then we will make an addendum to this episode. But let's get back to the Tigers broadcast.
That is the 6th walk of Uja. 3 of them came in the first inning.
You think Billy Martin might pinch hit for Rickey Henderson here? You think Billy Martin might pinch hit for Rickey Henderson?
That would be quite a move, wouldn't it? They'd probably just take Billy and throw him in the bay if he did that. Here's Rickey at the plate now. He has a walk, a foul out to right, fly to center field. He has stolen 2 bases. Fred Stanley at first base, Henderson waiting at the plate. And the pitch is a ball in too close off the mid of Fahey. Fahey goes up to talk with Uja. Throughout most of baseball history, the base on balls have not counted as a time at bat. The batter was first exempted from a time at bat on the walk in 1877, right after the National League got started. And then 10 years later, in 1887, a base on ball counted as a hit. And there was a record number of 400 hitters that year, as you might imagine. Henderson has over 100 walks already. Here's the pitch. There goes Stanley. There's a line drive to left field. Base hit. Henderson fields it on 1 out. Stanley stops at second. 2 in on. Nobody down. Hit and run single. And Henderson punches one to the left.
All right, so I'm going to pause it again here, Jesse, because there is a quick thing that I want to make sure that the audience heard. He said, there goes Stanley. Stanley was trying to steal. Don't know if he was trying to steal on his own. Don't know if this was a hit and run. Don't know if Rickey was supposed to take the pitch, but Stanley was running, perhaps to try to get out of the way. But now we have Fred Stanley at second base. We have Rickey Henderson at first base. By the way, I love the history lesson that Ernie Harwell just gave us. That once upon a time, a walk counted as a hit, and there's a lot of 400 hitters that year.
Encyclopedic. It would not surprise me if Ernie's like, I just know this. Here you go. And there's Paul sitting next to him going, really, Ernie, you just pulled that one out?
Now things are about to get very interesting.
Now Gross will be the batter. Nothing Oakland. They're batting in the 8th inning. They've got runners at first and second and nobody down. This crowd getting a little more excited. Infield about halfway up. Gross stepping into the batter's box. He's walked and flat out twice. One of the 3 who scored a run in the opening inning, 3-0 Oakland in the 8th. So a walk and a single setting up this scoring chance for the A's. Outfield is deep and straight away on Gross. Uja has slowed his pitching pace at the mound.
Automatic ball, come on.
He sets his throw to second. They've got Stanley in a pickoff. Henderson not going anywhere. And now Cabell sort of runs him back, and Whitaker makes the tag. So they pick Stanley off, and that opens up the gates for Rickey Henderson. One to 6 to 5 to 4. So Henderson now has a chance to tie the record here in the 8th inning. Oakland batting with a man on. That's Henderson at first base. 1 man down. Wayne Gross at the plate. The outfield is straight up. Here comes Roger Craig out. He wants the conference. Billy Martin has come out of his dugout and has motioned over to his first base coach, Jackie Moore, to come in and talk with him.
There's a slight aroma emanating from the diamond, Ernie, on that last play. Stanley did very little jockeying.
Henderson made no attempt to advance, but it did clear the path down there ahead of him.
And another thing, Cabell didn't look like he was too anxious to throw that ball and
makes the put up.
Stand me off.
That's right.
So it was going on both sides, but they set up what they wanted, I guess, the A's did, in the take-any situation.
Okay, so we have Ernie Harwell, who is just such the gentleman and doesn't really want to say that this is Bush League or what the A's did. And you got Paul Carey saying there's an aroma down on the field. And Ernie saying reluctantly, yeah, and it didn't look like Enos Cabell even wanted to tag him out.
But for Ernie, that's observational, right? This is Ernie's going, okay, now that you've started this, yeah, we can discuss what we just saw. This is why it's so important, number one, for a broadcaster to work with a partner, and number two, for the partner to be different from you. Because there's Paul sitting back, and I can picture Paul being like, should I say something? Should I say something? Yeah, I'm going to say something.
From what I've later read, as this was going on, Sparky Anderson in the Tigers dugout and Billy Martin in the A's dugout are screaming at each other that it is bedlam of what these two iconic managers are yelling at each other. Oh, by the way, earlier in this game, one of the umpires had to leave due to an illness. So it was now a 3-man umpiring crew instead of a 4-man umpiring crew. And perhaps the positioning of the umpires might be part of the story as we continue with this game.
By the way, I'm glad Ernie commented on the crowd, because the second that Rickey got his base hit, I heard that bump in energy, and suddenly the crowd changed and that murmur was growing, and I'm going, oh, Ernie, things just became a little bit more electric, man.
Absolutely.
Well, all the conferring has been concluded, and we are ready for action on the diamond. Henderson is at first base. He needs one stolen base to tie the record of Lou Brock. Gross is at bat, and Uja ready to pitch to him. Rickey has the lead. Here's the set. He draws a throw. He's back safely. Wayne Gross digging in. Rickey Henderson draws another throw. This is a low one and a good pickup by Leach. He almost threw that one away. So all the eyes are focused on Rickey Henderson. 3-0. The Oakland A's lead the Tigers in the 8th inning. 1 man out. Henderson trying to get a longer lead at first base. Edges toward the second, another foot. Here's the set. Uja holds it. There's another throw to first. He's back safely.
It's 3 throws over.
Wayne Gross steps out of the batter's box. Outfield is straight up on Gross and deep. Henderson edging off again, a longer lead for Rickey. Here's the set for the right-hander, Uja. There he goes, a pitch out. Here's a throw. He slides. He is out at second base. Fahey cut him down, and Rickey Henderson disagreeing with a call by the umpire, Derwood Merrill, but he is out. He did not tie the record on that one.
A satisfying play of the game right there.
Rickey walking off second, still disputing the call with Derwood Merrill, who's umpiring now back at third. Here comes Billy Martin out. He wants to put up a protest. And the crowd urging Billy on in his forensic. He's going at it pretty hot and heavy. Billy's putting on a show for the gang now. Their man Henderson has been cut down. He did not tie the record here this afternoon, at least not for now. Martin has a few more words to say to the Texan, Derwood Merrill, and now walks away back to his dugout.
Yeah, that's the new record. He's been caught 39 times now, Ernie.
So he was trying to tie Lou Brock, and he beat Ty Cobb. 2 out in the 8th inning, and they wind up by Uja. Gross takes that it is a ball low.
Okay, so I'm going to end it there. The inning concludes. Ernie sends it to a commercial break. When he comes back from the commercial break, we learn that Dwayne Murphy, as he was going out to center field, got ejected for yelling at the umpire, that Billy Martin got ejected, and also one of his coaches got ejected. Rickey Henderson did not, but we had 3 different people who got ejected. And let's start with Paul Carey's line, most satisfying play of the game, Jesse.
Well, this is the power of the partner, that the partner can sit there while the play-by-play guy is just giving you the action and really can enjoy himself, because there's your Detroit Tigers point of view. And throughout any place that Paul looks to insert himself, I begin, Josh, with the very first time that we hear him. It is a chuckle. And I would argue that everything that he says from that point on is still a chuckle. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yes. I think that this was a time in baseball where there really started to be a lot of conversation about are all these stolen bases necessary? Are we just compiling stolen bases for the sake of stats? Or is this really something that is necessary for the game? I think it began in 1980 when Rickey stole 100 in 1980. I can't remember the exact number, but it was a pretty enormous number in September. I want to say it might have been 30 or something like that in September. And you start to see Vince Coleman and Tim Raines and some other guys on the minor leagues like Donnell Nixon, who never really made it much in the major leagues, but were compiling enormous numbers of stolen bases. And there's a lot of people in the game, a lot of, whether it's a broadcaster, a coach, a manager, who start to think that this is not the way that baseball should be played. And especially the idea that someone is going to get picked off at second base. This game was not broadcast on television, but there was a primitive in-house feed, which clearly showed that Rickey Henderson was safe on that. And it was very much a topic of discussion of whether Durwood Merrill simply called him out because he thought this was Bush League, that Fred Stanley intentionally got himself picked off at second base.
I mean, it was Bush League. But this is baseball,
right?
This is the way that baseball has gone for a long, long time. We can cast aspersions on some of the things that Ty Cobb did. And by the way, what did he do? He stole bases. This is stealing bases was such a part of baseball. And then we went through a period of time where you didn't steal and you swung for the fences and tried to hit home runs. And I'm not talking about the 1990s and 2000s. I'm talking about the 1950s. And in fact, there was this idea that when Jackie Robinson debuted in the major leagues, thank goodness, because baseball became exciting again, Jackie ran and baseball at the time did not. And so suddenly baseball was so much more exciting with Jackie, because before him and around the league, you looked around and it was a bunch of guys just swinging and not much that was happening. So it's a fascinating thing to me that there is such resistance to, and there might be some racism that's baked in under the surface as well. But I would also argue this, Josh, what else is new at the time? AstroTurf. So Rickey's running on grass, but Vince Coleman is running on turf. And now that you've got all of these fields where it's a faster surface, and then the way that the game is played, and you can lose the ball in the Metrodome roof, and suddenly the ball is taking Super Bowl bounces, and the Cardinals are turning every single game into a track meet. This is not the baseball that all of these guys grew up on in the 40s and 50s.
So just to finish the story, that was the final game of the homestand. The A's go to Milwaukee. Rickey ties the record on August 26th. He breaks the record on my birthday, August 27th, ends up with 4 stolen bases, and that game finishes that season with 130, and no one has come remotely close to 130 since then.
Man of Steel. And in fact, they've changed the rules. So this would be the time period where we should see people threatening that, and Rickey was Rickey.
Yeah. Imagine if you were only able to throw over 2 times against Rickey Henderson. Well, speaking of unlimited pickoffs.
Oh,
you ready?
Yes.
This might take a while, but this one's going to be fun.
It's time for a root canal.
As Mike mentioned early on, Welsh does not have a good move to first base. Probably would have been better off not throwing over there so many times that Coleman could have an opportunity to get an idea of what he can do.
There he goes over there. Peter Rose has played in all 3 games of this series, whereas we didn't see him in St. Louis. He gets that ball over there pretty quickly when he steps off.
He did that time, indeed he did.
And Coleman does some landscaping. Long look, and there he goes over there again.
Ooh, and a good play by Rose. Rose had to dart out there to come up with it.
Very difficult for the first baseman when the runner comes back in standing up, as opposed to sliding back in there and giving you all that room to field the ball. And another throw.
It's worth noting that Pete Rose is the player manager at the time.
Going on. We're in the 5th, 2-1 Cardinals. 1 on, 1 out. He's wearing him out over there. He'll throw over there quickly, then he'll hold the ball for a while, and then he'll step off and throw. They pitch out. Coleman started to go and came back, and it's 1-1.
I'm wondering if Pete Rose is calling these pitch outs from first base.
I mean, if a pitch out is called by the manager.
Now you see both sides of it. Get back, Vince. Blake Gil Hodges played first base. He'd make that pickoff tag, and he'd wrap you on the ankle with the ball. You do that 5 or 6 times, you go a little bit numb. There's a little different move that time by Welch.
Tagged him on the ankle.
7th inning.
Updating the scores time.
And they knocked out Hawkins. Well, it's been a long time between pitches to Willie McGee. There goes Coleman and a foul. There's another throw over there. Really, all that throw did was allow Coleman a little breather.
The RBI for Cox in the 2nd inning, and the Cardinals are leading this game 2-1.
This fella doesn't give you many fat pitches. They're all breaking stuff and off-speed stuff.
Does change the game when Mr. Coleman's aboard, doesn't it?
Yes, sir. It takes forever. We're in the 5th. 2-1 Cardinals. There he comes again. Coleman's talking to him about a balk. He did bend his knee, dip his knee a little bit before he threw over there. Coleman's hit was the 5th off of Welch. Throws over there again. How many is that? Wish I kept track.
I lost track a long time ago. Boy.
Giants 3 out.
More out-of-town scores.
Houston is winning and Atlanta is losing.
This takes forever, doesn't it?
It does. Nice visiting with you, Jack.
Ought to change the rules.
They ought to change the rules, he just said.
Well, who's going to be the more stubborn? The pitcher or the runner? Call a strikeout.
And Rose is holding, of course.
He might as well throw over there again. Now he steps off. And again. But he's kept Coleman pinned at first base. You see if Van Slyke can get on and bring up Clark. And he has flied out into a double play and flat out again. Hitting 3rd today. Really isn't much fun, is it? Watching him throw over there.
And Slyke's now played, Jack, in 126 games in the outfield since making his last error. That was at Chicago in June of '85. Plays a good outfield. He really does. And now getting the shot at playing every day. He is 3 for 9 coming into today's game in the series with 3 runs and 4 RBIs.
like to see him start doing some hitting in the number 3 spot. I wonder how many times Welsh has thrown over there. And a tap foul, strike 1. They pitch out, and Coleman stays. It's 1-1. 2 out in the inning, 1 hit in the inning, and it's taken about 15 minutes. That's something. You do that all day, you know. There's no rule against it.
That's
no
correct.
limit.
No limit.
No limit as to the number of times you can throw over there. This might be a record. Coleman's probably so weary he can't take that first step.
I can remember a game. I'm trying to think. It seems to me it was in Houston. Somebody threw over to first with Brock at first base 17 times.
Yeah, and Roger Craig threw over there 14 consecutive times once. There goes Coleman. The pitch of the strike, and it's a stolen base. And the count is 2-2 as Coleman swipes his third, giving him 27. Well, he won the battle, didn't he?
Can you feel just the anger of Jack Buck building through those 17 pickoff attempts?
I think we missed it at the end. Doesn't Jack say, I'd rather have a root canal?
I might have stopped it too soon. My bad.
I like this kind of broadcasting. I would love to say to Jack's partner, I know we can talk about Andy and batting third, playing outfield. I know that we'd love to talk about going around the league. But this moment demands grumpiness.
Mm-hmm.
This moment demands all of us going, this isn't fun. This is not why I'm here. When the Philadelphia Eagles were trying to do the tush push and the Washington Commanders jumped offside, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times in a row, however many times it was, they needed a broadcaster to go, this is ridiculous. What are we doing here? We've stopped playing. And in this case, we have stopped playing baseball. And I appreciate Jack just cracking wise, destroying everything that's going on.
At one point, he says they ought to change the rules.
Yes.
I believe this was 1983, 84, somewhere in that range. One point, he says this really isn't much fun. He says you can do it all day. There's no limit. Mentions that the inning's taken about 15 minutes, even though there's only been one base runner. This game was in Cincinnati. We can see the white uniforms of the Reds, and we could hear the crowd booing. And I would have liked for the announcers to acknowledge even the home fans are bored and are booing their player for continually to throw over to first base.
Yes. In fact, the very first thing that was said was that Chris Welsh has a bad pickoff move and that he shouldn't throw over there. I think it's worth checking in with Chris, who after his baseball career went into broadcasting. Be like, Chris, how would you call this one? But it's such a great snapshot of how a stolen base threat can change the game and how, as a broadcaster, and I'm going to take this in a different direction, Josh, it's not the words that are said. I would argue that one of your chief jobs as a broadcaster is to be good company.
Mm-hmm.
So when the game stinks, at the very least, the audience goes, well, at least I'm spending time with Jack right now.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And Jack feels my pain, and Jack's going to lean into the pain of this. Yeah. One other thought that I really did appreciate of what Jack says was there's a throw over after a foul ball, and he says, all this does is give him a breather after the foul ball. And this is something that I've started to say more and more often on the air these days, especially because you can only throw over 2 times. The runner takes off. It's a foul ball. When was the last time you ever saw somebody try to steal second? Foul ball immediately goes on the next pitch. They are catching their breath. And so anytime that a pitcher throws over afterward, I usually say on the air, that was a waste. You only get 2 throws over. He's tired. He's catching his breath. You just wasted a pickoff pitch. And I'm glad that Jack Buck said it too.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's good.
All right. You ready for some more Oakland A's?
How many pickoff throws will there be here?
I think 0. I can't remember, but I think 0.
I believe we're talking 4-0-4-0.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we are. Okay, so before we get to this, this is 1988. This is Jose Canseco. Once again, you have a player for the A's who wants to set a record or do something significant in Oakland before the team goes on the road. The final home game for the A's there in late September, Jose Canseco stole his 38th base. I still don't know why Tony La Russa took him out of the game in about the 5th inning. Now, Canseco was late for the game. I guess he got caught in traffic. He showed up like 50 minutes before first pitch. He stole his 38th base. And then later in the game, La Russa just says, we're going to pinch hit for him. Luis Polonia, you bat for Jose. So once again, there is an Oakland A's player who goes to Milwaukee trying to break a record or do something that has never been done before. In this case, it is 40 home runs and 40 stolen bases. Jose already has he already has the home runs. In the first inning, he steals his 39th base. So now here he is at first base again.
He's leaning a little bit right now. He's running. There's the throw. Number 40. Jose Canseco, the first man ever in big league history to do it. And now he's asking the umpire if he can take that second base back.
And he's saying no.
The umpire said you can't have it. He's getting a standing ovation from his teammates on the top of the dugout steps.
And the fans are standing also. Jose's going to ask Hirschbeck again if he can have the bag.
All around this ballpark, they're standing. Now he's going to get it. He stole it. It's his. He's got it.
That's great.
Well, at Wimbledon, they hold it up over their head when they win a trophy, and he just gave a little one at that. Frank Sinchek will take care of that. The Hall of Fame will be on the phone, but they won't get it.
That is Monty Moore, play-by-play. Ray Fosse as the analyst. Man, director for the A's, show us a cutaway of the players clapping on the dugout, of all the visiting fans standing up. Give us some cutaway reaction shots there.
This can't be the TV.
Yes, it is. This is the TV. Yes.
So they never show the pitch. It's Jose the whole time. I was thinking this was the isolated camera where they go, you, camera operator, just take Jose, and then you can cut back and forth between Jose cam and every other cam. So all the A's fans everyone watching on TV, they have no idea what happened on the pitch. It's just Jose cam, Jose. Yeah, I agree. I would like to see everyone clapping on the top step of the dugout. I would love to see all of these opposition fans showing their appreciation.
To be fair, maybe this has just been edited in the 30-something years since this happened in 1988. That's very possible. I remember watching this game at home on television with my dad in California. And so this is definitely Monty Moore and Ray Fosse were on the TV side. Bill King and Lon Simmons were on the radio side. So this was absolutely the TV broadcasters. And I don't know if this is how they showed it live. I can't remember, but this is the way it has been edited forever onto YouTube.
That Monty immediately called out that Jose was asking for the bag.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately. The second that he got down there and turned to John Hirschbeck, the Monty was on that. And that becomes the narrative of this. Okay, here's the appreciation. Here's the crowd cheering. He's going to ask again. He's going to get it. And then alluding to Wimbledon,
mm-hmm.
I thought that was exceptional.
Mm-hmm. I thought Monty Moore's call was really good. I remember my dad telling me how great Monty was in the 70s, and they brought him out of retirement. And I didn't care for him too much in the 80s when he was on television. I think this is an outstanding call. I like, he immediately says number 40, first player, big league history, 40 home runs, 40 stolen bases. I like that he said that he's leaning. There he goes. I think this is an outstanding call by Monty Moore.
Also, the Hall of Fame is going to call for it. They're not going to get it.
Yes. All right. Well, you cannot do an episode about stolen bases unless you show the most famous stolen base in history. We have buried the lead long enough. Jesse, are you ready for the most important stolen base in baseball history?
It took us almost an hour. So yeah.
A pinch runner, Dave Roberts, is going to come in for Boston. He can run, picked up from the Dodgers. Miller still waiting for his first pitch. Roberts is going. Posada's throw. Roberts safe.
Roberts had a great jump. It was a good ball for Posada to throw on. Good call. Roberts was 38 for 41 in stolen bases. Nearly perfect.
Now Miller will try to get him at least over to third base. Up the middle. Roberts will come to the plate. The throw by Williams. Bill Miller has tied it.
For those who forgot, that is Game 4, American League Championship Series 2004. That's when the Yankees have a 3-0 lead. The Red Sox just tied it. David Ortiz home run won it. And of course, they came all the way back to become the first team trailing 3-0 to come back to win a best of 7.
I believe that's Al Leiter on color alongside Joe Buck. What did you think of the calls?
I think this is the peak of Joe Buck saving his voice because he was having voice problems and really letting it breathe. I think that you can really tell how much the visuals have changed, where we have a speaker at second base, a microphone to pick up the sound of that. We have all the different angles, the isolation. I think that this is storytelling from a visual standpoint more so than a word standpoint. It's a good little tidbit that Joe reminded us. They picked him up from the Dodgers, later gave us what his percentage was on the season. I think that this is a no frills like type of call. It's just a solid. I don't think at the moment you're really thinking this is the moment that's going to change this best of 7. This is probably more, hey, the Yankees are 3 outs away from winning yet again. Oh, hold on. We got a base runner. We got this walk from Millar. Oh, we've got this fast guy. And so I don't think you really like the moment in itself isn't really apparent until days and weeks and then years later.
So I feel like one of the reasons this steal is so celebrated is, yes, the Red Sox came back from being 3-0 down. But I do think that in the moment, this was seen as a thing. Mm-hmm. They got a runner on against Mo Rivera, and Roberts is inserted in, and he takes second. And now they have blown the save. They've beaten Rivera. They walk off with this win. So I'm glad that you mentioned that about Joe saving his voice, because I'm thinking, boy, you got to go big here. And all he gives you is a Roberts safe. And then even when Roberts scores that game-tying run, there's no big punch there either. It is the pictures. It is that replay of the throw arriving, the tag swiping, the hand arriving at the bag. The pictures are the star of this.
Yeah, yeah. This is before Twitter, right? Like, this is very much like we're still just watching the game. We're not on multiple devices as we're watching this game. We're just watching the game here.
Well, and then you call up your sports talk show afterward.
Right.
This is when radio sports talk is the thing. Mm-hmm. So if you're calling up WEEI, you're calling up the fan.
All right. So anything else we should add about this? I mean, again, like you do any type of Google search, what's the most important, most significant stolen bases of all time? And you're going to get Rickey Henderson's all time, and you're going to get this one from Dave Roberts. I think that this one is absolutely number one. I don't even know what the second choice would be in terms of most important, consequential, game-changing, series-changing, franchise-changing moments other than what we just witnessed with Dave Roberts' a stolen base.
There are answers for outs. There's one getting picked off.
Right.
Babe Ruth getting caught stealing to end the 1926 World Series. But this is it. This is what comes to my mind first. But as we move forward, we're not done in the 21st century for big, whether it's momentous steals in the postseason or a record setting.
Well, let's get to postseason momentous stolen bases.
inning continues, and Mark Teixeira will be the hitter in his career against Lidge. There goes Damon, no chance for Ruiz, and now headed to third base as he got around Feliz. And he's there, which is important because of the pitches in the dirt. And he's there with 2 out. Pedro Feliz tried to fake Johnny Damon. He just kept going.
Rich Doobie, the pitching coach, out to talk to Lidge. This doesn't take the slider away from Lidge. Watch Damon, realizing nobody's at third, and he outruns Feliz. The only other person that could have gotten there wasn't there, and that's Brad Lidge. The throw's in the dirt, and Damon keeps going after the pop-up slide.
What I think this call is missing, Jesse, is that's the danger when you do the overshift. There's nobody there, and Johnny Damon realized it right away. Once upon a time, Derek Jeter did the same thing. The catcher came running over. There was a collision, and Jeter missed a significant amount of time due to a collision that happened, I want to say, sometime or probably 4 or 5 years before this play. Extremely smart base running by Johnny Damon. Outstanding camera angles. But I would have liked to hear from somebody. That is the danger when you overshift that way, which, of course, you can't do anymore.
See, I think for a play-by-play person, just to be able to say, as Damon is sliding in, there's nobody at third. There goes Damon. He's 90 feet away from giving the Yankees the lead in the 9th.
Yeah.
It is game 4. It is 2009. And the Yanks and the Phillies are tied in the 9th. And if the Phillies win, this series is tied. But the Yankees are about to win this game and take a 3-1 lead in the series en route to the championship. It's been a while since we can say Yankees World Series championship as you and I talk right now. It is a moment where, and you and I have talked about elevating calls. It is such a crucial moment to try a steal. And because that shift is there, it is such a crucial moment for Johnny Damon to see the opening and go and give the Yanks from having the tie-breaking run at first to having the tie-breaking run at third in the 9th. And so this just needs something more.
Yeah, there's one point when Tim McCarver says that's going to take away the slider from Lidge with the runner at third base, but then he catches himself and realizes, no, that's not what I should be talking about. Maybe the director is cueing him. He's looking at his monitor. He sees the replay, and then he immediately shifts into smart base running.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think he catches himself at the right moment. But yes, I think that this is all about, this is your strategy, right? Defensively, you've got this shift on for this reason, and that's the consequence.
Yes, Pedro Feliz is there. Therefore, who needs to be at third? Which Philly needed to be over there? How can you let this happen? This is enormous.
Yep.
And it just does not feel like we have hit those kind of stakes. This is a higher stakes play than the broadcast is making it sound.
So that might be the second most important or consequential stolen base. How you broke it down, right? Phillies win, it's 2-2. Instead, Yankees won that game. They went on to win that World Series. All right. We saw 40-40. Time for 50-50.
Needs to be special for those guys.
Ohtani smokes this ball to right center field, off the wall. Throw from Conine is late, and it's a screamer of a double to start this ball game. 114, Oral.
Shohei is doing everything he can to get him to the playoffs. This is one of those stress relief games, because if you get it done now, things start to fall in order. Flaherty on the mound. He pitches well. Ohtani getting it done, starting to get hotter at the top of the order, getting away from the strikeouts with this double, and he was feet away from 49.
There they go. Throw to third. Beats him, but he got his foot in. The 50th for Ohtani.
The accuracy of the slide. In all of his bags, he has a tendency to read the throw, understand that the toughest part to tag is the back outside corner, and he usually gets it with just his toe and stays on.
Throw beats him, but the foot avoids the tag.
Foot gets in before the tag hits his knee.
On the 50-50 tracker from New Balance. Shohei Ohtani.
Okay, however much money that New Balance paid for the 50-50 tracker, it was worth every penny. Oral Hershiser is outstanding when he breaks down. The toughest place for a third baseman to tag is the back outside corner. And then we have the camera that is showing us. Oral says that he hits it with the tip of his toe, and that's exactly what we see. Oral Hershiser is fantastic in this.
Well, and I want to start with Joe Davis because this is the Jack Buck trap. The broadcaster has seen the throw and the runner's jump. And so looking from above, you know that throw is going to get there before the runner gets there. And so how does Joe handle it compared to how Jack Buck handled it? Joe says, throw to third beats him, but he gets in there, right? Joe is able to quickly pivot and give that. And then Oral comes in to say, why? This is all I need from a color person is just give me the why. If the throw to third was in time and it beats the runner, why was that runner safe? What happened? And Oral said, it's the tag. It's the degree of difficulty with the tag. And I love that. Here's what the play-by-play guy sees, and here's what the color guy says, here's why that happened.
The switch that Joe Davis makes from the throw beats him, got his foot in. That is an extremely difficult, quick decision to make that change, and I think he does it expertly in that moment.
But, I mean, great color, great play-by-play, rising, color, rising to the moment. He's got his 50th steal immediately. That's 5-0.
And then later in the game, he gets two more another double, 3 home runs, like 8 RBIs or something like that. And the Dodgers clinch. That was just the tip of what Shohei Ohtani did that day.
Do you know the Hedberg joke about his New Balances getting old, so he fell right over?
No.
That's what I think about with New Balance.
All right. So we have done those. You have more for us. What have you got?
Yeah. Okay, we're at the end of the episode. We're going to have some fun. Thanks to everyone. Thank you to you for keeping us company. This is such a blast. Here's what I got. In minor league baseball, suddenly the rules have changed, and we're seeing guys steal more bases. So the last person in minor league baseball to steal triple digits in a season was Billy Hamilton. I got a chance to see him as he was rising up through the Reds organization. And then in 2025, Kendall George in the Dodgers organization did the trick. So let's go to high A baseball. Kendall George, Great Lakes Loons, playing at Lake County. And here's number 100.
Matson will check over again on first base for the speedy Kendall George, and can't blame him. Feels like he's almost been, when he gets on base, it's almost automatic that he's going to try and steal second at some point. Doesn't go. Bennett Thompson makes the catch on a fastball high above the letters of DePaula. 2 balls and 1 strikes now the count.
And as effective as a stolen base is, that fake steal can really catch pitchers off guard.
2-1 this time. George goes. Thompson throw down to second base is not in time. Another stolen base for Kendall George, a smile on his face, and that is stolen base number 100 on the season for one of the Dodgers' top prospects. What a year it has been for him on the base path, and works himself into a list of elite company with big 100.
Josue DePaula, his teammate at home plate, tips his batting helmet to him. And how can he not be all smiles? First with 100 steals in the Midwest League since Billy Hamilton back in 2011. Congratulations to Kendall George. What a heck of a season. One for the history books.
I'm curious how many more we might see going forward, especially with these new rules. I think that if we do see 100, it's going to be a combined 100 over various levels. I think it's going to be pretty rare for someone to get all 100 in the same league. But you saw him in the Midwest League, and there was one point when the announcer, I believe it's Logan Petoskey. Sorry, Logan, if I'm pronouncing your last name incorrectly. And he says, it seems like he goes almost every time. You saw him. How often did he run?
The Dodgers told Kendall George, when you get on, run. It doesn't matter. Just run. And so, yes, he would run at every single opportunity. It was Rickey Henderson style. Oh, I'm on? Well, I guess I'm going to take that base.
So it doesn't matter what the score is, even if it's 10-1 and that's, against the unwritten rules.
So I don't think it went that far. Like there still is, and the unwritten rule, as I've heard it, is outs left in the game compared to lead. So if you're up by 9, but there's 15 outs left, but if you're up by, let's say 7, and there's now 4 or 5 outs left, it's a little different. So
not in the Pacific Coast League.
Oh, that's true. Midwest League, the games end 2-1.
Yeah. Pacific Coast League, like if it's a 4-run lead in the 8th inning, you're thinking we need some more insurance runs. 4's nothing in the PCO, bro.
I've got one more Midwest League clip for you.
Please, let's see it.
Okay, so you remember how with the Athletics, there might have been a little aroma on the field about right. So here's where I'm going to put you. I'm going to put you into Beloit, Wisconsin. And the situation is it is downpouring. And Beloit has scored 8 runs in this inning, and there's still only 1 out. So how do you end this inning? So you understand how you end this inning.
And the pitch. Fastball misses outside. Marinez started running towards third base, and he gives himself up for out number 2. I don't know what happened there, but Marinez got a delayed steal attempt, and he wasn't even close to third base. That was almost bizarre. We'll look at Martinez's numbers so far this season here in a moment.
Okay, so we've seen one runner purposefully get himself thrown out. Larry Larson's on the call for Beloit. And what you might have noticed there is the catcher leisurely throwing down. What I'd like you to keep in mind here, the runner on first is going to try to run to second. The batter doesn't know. So what is a subtle way that you can let the batter know we're going to try to get our guy thrown out?
His first pitch to Cody Morissette is fouled off as Bradshaw took off for second base. He'll retreat back to first. Rain now starting to come down harder. It let up for a minute and then started coming down hard and then let up and then now it's pouring again. There's the 0-1 pitch, taken for a called strike, throw down to second base. Bradshaw slides and comes up short to end the inning. I think Beloit just gave themselves up with their last 2 base runners. Really an incredible short slide from Bradshaw. He almost made it to second base, but came up about 6 inches short.
It's like the Willie Mays Hayes.
Yes, exactly. Don't steal home without it.
Right. I did not witness this, but I've heard about a game in the California League before you had the automatic runner at second base and the team had run out of pitchers. They did not want to use a position player, and so they had their pitcher balk 3 times in a row so that the runner from first base would come around to score to end the game, that they lost the game on purpose because of that. This is the kind of opposite of that. We have the lead. It is pouring. Let's end this inning and get out of the rain, and hopefully the umpires will signal to the grounds crew to put the tarp on the field.
Did you see the shortstop waving to say, guys, we know he's throwing down. Just I'm right here. I'm right here. And the poor batter, what? Oh, okay.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. How are we going to end this episode?
Do we want to show Javi Baez?
Yes. After all of the safe stolen bases, or the Rickey Henderson is called out even though he was safe, but the unwritten rules of baseball are being broken, we need to finish this episode with something defensive.
Steve Cishek was demoted in August. Throw down his Cruz has never had a chance.
I want you to watch Baez right before he gets the throw. Already congratulating Molina on the throw. Didn't ever even look at the tag. This guy is one of the best at tagging the would-be runners, but this is
World Baseball Classic, baby. That is my favorite caught stealing of all time.
That is some elite confidence and showmanship when you are pointing to the catcher and a no-look tag. That's how you end an episode. That is fantastic. I had watched that and I'd forgotten about that. I'm glad you had us include that.
Yeah. Well, let's not have that memory stolen from you.
Oh, touche. For Jesse Goldberg-Strassler of the Lansing Lugnuts, I'm Josh Suchon from the Albuquerque Istopes. Hope you have enjoyed this episode on what it's like to call a thief. We will talk to you again on Crafting the Call.